The video feed flickered worldwide as billions watched in stunned silence. There, against the crimson dust of an alien world, stood a German shepherd, head held high, the Earth's blue marble reflecting in his intelligent eyes. Rover had become the first canine to set paw on Mars, and in that moment, humanity's relationship with the cosmos changed forever. But no one could have predicted what he would find there. "They called me insane," Xavier Price shouted over the roaring engines of the testing facility. "Said dogs weren't meant for space exploration." His voice cracked with emotion as he watched Rover navigate the Mars simulation chamber with precision that put robotic rovers to shame. The year was 2026, and while other billionaires raced to build luxury hotels in orbit, Xavier had dedicated his fortune to StarCanine, a company born from a seemingly impossible question. Could humanity's oldest companion help us explore our future home? Dr. Anaya Patel, StarCanine's lead veterinary scientist, adjusted her glasses as she observed Rover's vitals. His neural implant is functioning perfectly. The biosynth suit is maintaining optimal temperature and pressure. She turned to Xavier with a rare smile. "I think he's ready." What the world didn't know was that NASA had privately calculated conventional rovers would take another 15 years to accomplish what a trained canine could do in weeks. The combination of mobility, adaptability, and intelligence was unmatched, especially when enhanced with cutting-edge technology. But there was one problem. The public will never accept sending a dog to Mars. NASA's director had warned Xavier during their classified meeting 3 years ago. The ethical backlash would be insurmountable. Xavier watched Rover complete his training course, the dog's tail wagging excitedly as he located the hidden water sample buried beneath the simulated Martian regolith. "They will when they see what he can discover," Xavier whispered. "When they understand he's not just a test subject, but the pioneer who will change everything." What Xavier couldn't tell anyone, not even Dr. Patel, was that the thermal imaging satellites had detected anomalous heat signatures in the Valles Marineris Canyon system. Signatures that appeared and disappeared with patterns too regular to be natural geological phenomena. NASA had classified the discovery immediately, fearing public speculation about potential life on Mars. But Xavier had seen the classified images. And he knew Rover was humanity's best chance to investigate quietly, without triggering global panic. 2 months later, as dawn broke over the Texas launch facility, Rover sat calmly in his specialized capsule aboard the Starship Nova, the most advanced interplanetary vessel ever constructed. His custom biosynth suit gleamed silver against his black and tan fur, neural implants connecting him to the ship's systems and the team back on Earth. Xavier knelt beside the capsule. "Find what's out there, boy," he whispered, his voice trembling slightly. "Come back to us." Rover nuzzled Xavier's hand through the small opening, his brown eyes reflecting a trust that transcended species. The countdown began. "Atmospheric entry in T-30 seconds," announced Flight Director Chloe Barnes, her voice steady despite the tension gripping mission control. The journey had taken 7 months, and now everyone held their breath for the infamous 7 minutes of terror, the time it took for a spacecraft to descend through Mars' thin atmosphere. Screens displayed Rover's vital signs. Heart rate elevated but stable, neural activity heightened but within expected parameters. His specialized suit was performing flawlessly, regulating temperature and providing the perfect pressure environment. "Have we ever asked ourselves if he's scared?" whispered technician Marcus Lee to his colleague. "Rover was selected because he doesn't experience fear the way humans do," Dr. Patel interjected, having overheard. "His brain processes danger as a problem to solve, not a threat to flee from." She paused, watching the screens intently. "But make no mistake, he understands the importance of what he's doing." The capsule hit the upper atmosphere of Mars at 12,000 miles per hour. Superheated plasma engulfed the heat shield, communications temporarily cutting out as expected. 487 agonizing seconds, mission control saw nothing but static. Then, miraculously, the signal returned. The parachutes had deployed. The retrorockets fired with precision. And as the dust settled on the rusty plains of Acidalia Planitia, the first images began streaming back to Earth. The landing module had touched down exactly 1.3 kilometers from the mysterious heat signature. Exactly as planned. Deployment sequence initiating, announced systems engineer Raj Kapoor. Rover will exit the module in T-10 minutes. Xavier Price stood frozen at the back of mission control, eyes fixed on the screens. 7 months of sleepless nights, $18 billion in private funding, and countless sacrifices had led to this moment. The ramp lowered, and sunlight streamed into the module. Rover took his first steps onto Martian soil, his paws protected by specialized booties. The telemetry from his neural implants showed excitement, curiosity, and, most importantly, determination. "My God," breathed Chloe Barnes as the panoramic cameras activated. "He's actually done it." The images streaming back showed a desolate, beautiful landscape. Rusty red dunes stretched to the horizon, where they met a pale pink sky. Rover's shadow stretched long across the ancient ground that had never before felt the presence of an Earth creature. "Run system diagnostics," Xavier commanded, his voice barely audible. "All systems nominal," reported Raj. "The neural link is stable. Rover can receive our commands and send sensory data. The suit is maintaining Earth-like atmospheric conditions. Oxygen supply at 100%. Water recycling functional." Rover turned his head, scanning the horizon as he'd been trained to do. His specialized goggles protected his eyes from radiation while enhancing his already remarkable vision. The neural implant translated the team's commands into sensory cues he understood instinctively. "Begin Operation Pathfinder," Xavier ordered. Rover's ears perked up as he received the command through his neural link. With a fluid motion that no robot could replicate, he turned southeast and began trotting toward the coordinates where the heat signatures had been detected. Each step leaving the first canine footprints on another world. What came next would change humanity's understanding of the cosmos forever. Rover moved with remarkable efficiency across the Martian landscape, his custom suit providing oxygen while regulating his body temperature in the extreme cold. His specialized boots protected his paws from the sharp regolith while sensors in his collar analyzed soil composition with each step. "Chemical analysis indicates elevated concentrations of perchlorates," reported Dr. Patel, studying the incoming data. "But something strange about these readings." "What is it?" Xavier leaned forward, eyes fixed on the screen. "These organic compounds shouldn't be present in these combinations. The molecular structures are unusual." Before she could elaborate, Rover stopped abruptly. The camera feed showed what had caught his attention. A subtle depression in the regolith, almost indistinguishable from natural formations, but with geometric properties that seemed too perfect. "Are those tracks?" Marcus whispered. "Impossible," Chloe responded automatically. "The last rover landed over 200 kilometers from here." Rover approached cautiously, his training kicking in. He circled the depression, allowing his sensors to gather data from multiple angles. The neural link transmitted his sensory inputs directly to the team, not just visual data, but the subtle vibrations beneath his paws, the faint magnetic anomalies his specialized collar detected. "The pattern repeats every 3.7 meters, Raj observed, pulling up a topographical map. "And it's heading directly toward the heat signature we detected." Xavier's hands gripped the console. "Follow the tracks, boy," he commanded softly. Rover obeyed, trotting alongside the mysterious trail. The further he went, the more distinct the tracks became. No longer mere depressions but clear imprints approximately 15 centimeters across, with 5 distinct protrusions. They look like footprints, Dr. Patel breathed, then immediately shook her head. But that's impossible. The atmospheric pressure is too low for liquid water, and without water, there's no known mechanism for life as we understand it. Unless we don't understand all forms of life, Xavier countered. The team fell silent as Rover approached the base of a small hill. The tracks disappeared into what appeared to be solid rock, but as Rover drew closer, his infrared sensors revealed what human eyes could not. A narrow opening, barely visible, emanating a faint heat signature. "This doesn't make sense," Chloe stated flatly. "Geological formations don't maintain constant temperatures in this environment." "No," Xavier agreed, his voice barely audible. "They don't." Rover stopped at the entrance, awaiting instructions. The opening was small, just large enough for him to enter, but completely dark inside. His specialized goggles could switch to night vision, but the team hesitated to send him into unknown territory. "We should wait," Chloe argued. "Send the drone first." "The drone can't analyze samples," Xavier countered. "And it won't detect subtle changes in the environment like Rover can." "If we lose him—" "We won't," Xavier interrupted. Then, more softly into his microphone, "Rover, proceed with caution. Activate night vision and collect environmental data." The dog's ears perked up, and he entered the narrow opening. The camera feed switched to night vision, revealing a tunnel that appeared to have been carved through the rock. The walls were smooth, with periodic indentations that resembled nothing in Earth's geological record. "Temperature rising," reported Raj. "Now at -15 Celsius. Significantly warmer than the surface." "Oxygen levels increasing slightly," added Dr. Patel. "And I'm detecting trace amounts of methane." Rover continued deeper into the tunnel, his movements deliberate and cautious. After approximately 30 meters, the passage widened into a small chamber. The night vision revealed geometric patterns etched into the walls, perfect circles, triangles, and more complex shapes that defied easy categorization. "My God," whispered Xavier. "Those aren't natural formations." "No," agreed Dr. Patel. "They're not." Rover approached one of the walls, his sensors detecting faint electric currents flowing through the patterns. As he drew closer, something extraordinary happened. The patterns began to glow with a soft blue light. And then, from deeper within the chamber, came movement. The creature emerged from a crevice in the far wall, no larger than a house cat, with 6 limbs and skin that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Its body seemed almost translucent, revealing internal structures unlike anything in Earth's evolutionary history. Mission Control fell silent, every eye fixed on the screens as humanity witnessed first contact. Rover froze, his training preparing him for Mars geology but not for this. His vital signs spiked momentarily before stabilizing. The neural interface transmitted his confusion, but also his innate curiosity. "Maintain position," Xavier whispered into the microphone, his voice trembling. "Just stay still, boy." The creature approached Rover cautiously, its movements fluid and graceful. It had no visible eyes, yet seemed to sense his presence. The patterns on its skin shifted from blue to a soft amber as it drew closer. "It's communicating," Dr. Patel breathed. "Those light patterns, they're changing in response to Rover's presence." "How is this possible?" Chloe demanded. "Our probes never detected any signs of complex life." "Because we weren't looking correctly," Xavier replied softly. "We were looking for carbon-based life forms that require water and oxygen. But life finds a way." The creature circled Rover, who remained perfectly still despite his obvious curiosity. Then it did something remarkable, It mimicked Rover's posture, dropping onto 4 of its 6 limbs in a position that eerily resembled a dog's stance. "It's copying him," Marcus whispered. "No," Xavier corrected. "It's trying to communicate." Slowly, carefully, Rover lowered himself to the ground, a behavior he'd been trained to use when approaching nervous animals on Earth. The creature's bioluminescence pulsed brighter, the patterns shifting more rapidly. Dr. Patel was frantically analyzing the data. The spectral patterns suggest a form of language, complex, structured sequences rather than random emissions. "Can we respond?" Xavier asked. "Not through light," she answered, "but perhaps through movement." Xavier considered for a moment, then spoke carefully into his microphone. "Rover, offer your paw, boy." Slowly, Rover processed the command and gradually extended his right front paw. The creature observed the gesture, then extended one of its upper limbs in response. "My God," breathed Chloe. "It understands." The creature's appendage hovered inches from Rover's paw. The entire mission control held their breath. Then, with deliberate slowness, the creature completed the gesture, touching its limb to Rover's paw. The contact lasted only seconds, but it represented the first physical interaction between Earth life and an extraterrestrial intelligence. Rover sensors are detecting an electromagnetic field emanating from the creature, Raj reported. "It's weak, but definitely present." "That's how they communicate," Xavier realized. "Not through sound or light alone, but through electromagnetic patterns." The creature withdrew its limb and skittered backward, but not in fear. It paused, then moved deeper into the chamber, occasionally turning back as if checking whether Rover was following. "I think it wants him to follow," Xavier said. "Absolutely not," Chloe objected. "We have no idea what's deeper in that structure. We've already achieved more than any mission in history. We should collect samples and retreat." Xavier's eyes remained fixed on the screen. "Rover, follow at a safe distance. Full sensory recording." Chloe glared at him but didn't countermand the order. They had agreed before launch. In matters of exploration, Xavier had final authority. Rover rose and cautiously followed the creature deeper into the chamber. The tunnel narrowed again, descending gradually. The temperature continued to rise, now approaching 0 Celsius, warm enough for liquid water under Mars' atmospheric pressure. After approximately 50 meters, the passage opened into a much larger chamber, and the camera feed revealed something that left every member of Mission Control speechless. The cavern walls were covered in intricate patterns that pulsed with the same bioluminescent light as the creature's skin. But more remarkably, at the center of the chamber stood what could only be described as a structure, geometric, purposeful, and unmistakably artificial. Rising from the floor was a crystalline formation approximately 3 meters tall, with intricate patterns etched throughout its surface. At regular intervals, energy pulses visibly traveled through the structure, creating a rhythmic pattern that resembled a heartbeat. "It's some kind of technology," Dr. Patel whispered, "but unlike anything we've ever seen." The creature approached the structure and placed several limbs against its surface. Immediately, the energy pulses intensified, and the patterns changed. "It's interfacing with it," Raj observed. "Like it's accessing information." Rover remained at the chamber entrance, sensors recording everything. The data flooding back to Earth would take scientists decades to fully analyze. Suddenly, the crystalline structure emitted a bright pulse of light, and a section of the floor beside it began to shift. A compartment opened, revealing what appeared to be a small, glowing sphere. The creature retrieved the sphere and approached Rover once more. Its bioluminescent patterns shifted rapidly, creating complex sequences that washed across its translucent body. "It's offering something," Xavier said, his voice barely audible. "We can't accept unknown alien artifacts. Chloe objected immediately. The contamination risks alone. This isn't just a scientific mission anymore, Xavier interrupted. This is first contact. If we reject what's being offered, we may never get another chance. Before Chloe could respond, the creature placed the sphere on the ground in front of Rover. The sphere pulsed once, twice, then projected what appeared to be a holographic image into the air between them. The image showed Mars, unmistakable with its rusty surface and polar caps. Then it zoomed out to show Earth alongside it. Finally, a bridge of light formed between the two planets. It's showing us a connection, Xavier breathed. It understands where Rover comes from. The creature stepped back, clearly waiting for a response. Xavier made the most momentous decision in human history with 4 simple words. Rover, take the sphere. Alarms blared through mission control as satellite imagery detected a massive dust storm forming over the western hemisphere of Mars. Initially a distant concern, new projections showed it moving directly toward Rover's location at unprecedented speed. Estimated arrival in 4 hours, Raj reported grimly. Wind speeds potentially exceeding 120 kilometers per hour. Chloe's expression hardened. We need to get him back to the landing module immediately. The suit can withstand some exposure, but not a full Martian storm. On the screens, Rover stood motionless, the alien sphere clutched gently in his mouth as he awaited instructions. The creature had retreated to the crystalline structure, its bioluminescence dimming to a soft glow. Rover, return to the landing module, Xavier commanded. Maximum safe speed. Rover immediately turned and began retracing his steps through the tunnel, navigating with the precision he'd been trained for. The creature followed at a distance, its movements conveying what almost seemed like concern. Storm front accelerating, Raj announced. New ETA 3 hours and 15 minutes. Xavier's hands gripped the console edge. How long will it take Rover to reach the module? At his current pace, approximately 2 hours 40 minutes, Dr. Patel answered. It's going to be close. As Rover emerged from the tunnel onto the Martian surface, the sky had already darkened ominously. The once clear horizon now featured a towering wall of dust advancing from the west, obliterating everything in its path. Increase pace to maximum, Xavier ordered, his voice tense. Rover broke into a run, his specialized boots finding purchase on the loose regolith. The sphere remained securely in his mouth, occasionally pulsing with a soft light. The wind began to intensify, rust-colored dust swirling around the camera lens. Visibility deteriorated rapidly. 2 hours to full storm impact, Raj updated. But we're already seeing wind speeds of 30 kilometers per hour. Rover pressed forward, his conditioning and specialized equipment allowing him to maintain his pace despite the worsening conditions. The landing module appeared as a distant silhouette on the horizon, still over 5 kilometers away. Can we deploy the emergency rover? Xavier asked. Chloe shook her head. Not in these conditions. The autonomous systems can't handle the reduced visibility. Then we trust Rover, Xavier stated firmly. He can do this. For over an hour, they watched as Rover battled against the strengthening winds. His vital signs showed increasing stress, but his determination never wavered. The distance to the module slowly decreased. 4 kilometers, 3, 2. Then disaster struck. Micrometeorite impact detected on suit exterior. Dr. Patel exclaimed, eyes fixed on the diagnostic readouts. Oxygen recycling system compromised. The camera feed showed the damage, a small puncture in the suit's shoulder section. Emergency sealant had deployed, but the system was now operating at reduced efficiency. Oxygen levels falling, Raj reported, his voice tight. Currently at 87% and dropping approximately 3% per minute. Xavier's face paled. At that rate, he has less than 30 minutes of breathable air, Dr. Patel confirmed grimly. And he's still 20 minutes from the module at current speed. The storm intensified around Rover, now nearly at full strength. The camera showed only swirling red dust, with visibility reduced to mere meters. Despite this, Rover pressed forward, guided by the navigational data fed through his neural link. "He's maintaining course," Raj said, his voice tinged with awe. "Even in near-zero visibility." "Oxygen at 75%, Dr. Patel reported. "Heart rate elevated but within sustainable parameters." The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness. The landing module appeared intermittently through the dust, growing larger as Rover closed the distance. But with each passing minute, his oxygen levels dropped further. 63%, 57%, 51%. In mission control, no one spoke. Every eye was fixed on the monitors, every mind calculating the same desperate math. "He's not going to make it," Chloe finally whispered. "Yes, he will," Xavier countered, his voice fierce with conviction. "Rover, Emergency Protocol Alpha. Maximum speed." It was a protocol they had hoped never to use, burning through energy reserves for a final burst of speed at the cost of potential system damage. Rover's pace increased dramatically, his powerful legs driving him forward through the howling storm. "Oxygen at 42%, Dr. Patel announced. "Distance to module, 800 meters. The sphere in Rover's mouth suddenly pulsed brighter, its light cutting through the dust storm with impossible clarity. The patterns within it shifted, resembling the bioluminescent language of the creature. "What's happening?" Xavier demanded. "The sphere is generating some kind of energy field," Raj reported, bewildered. It's creating a localized area of calm around Rover." Indeed, the camera feed showed the dust parting around Rover like water around a stone. The winds still howled, but they no longer hindered his progress. "Oxygen at 31%, Dr. Patel continued. "Distance, 400 meters. The module's emergency oxygen system is prepped and ready," Chloe reported. "Entry ramp deployed." 200 meters. 100 meters. Rover reached the landing module and bounded up the ramp, crossing the threshold just as his oxygen levels hit 22%. The airlock cycled automatically, and fresh oxygen flooded the chamber. "Vitals stabilizing," Dr. Patel announced, her voice breaking with relief. "He made it." Throughout mission control, people embraced, wept, cheered. 7 months of tension released in a collective expression of triumph. But Xavier's eyes remained fixed on the screen, where Rover had placed the alien sphere in the module's sample containment unit as trained. The storm raged outside, but inside, the sphere pulsed with a rhythmic light, almost like a heartbeat. "What have we discovered?" Xavier whispered to himself. The answer would change humanity forever. The dust storm raged for 3 Martian days, confining Rover to the landing module. During that time, the sphere remained in the sample containment unit, occasionally pulsing with mysterious energy patterns that defied Earth's scientific understanding. When the storm finally subsided, the satellite imagery revealed something remarkable. The entrance to the tunnel had been completely exposed, as if the storm had deliberately cleared away centuries of dust and debris. It wasn't a natural storm, Dr. Patel concluded after analyzing the weather patterns. The energy signatures suggest it was somehow generated, or at least guided. "By what?" Chloe demanded. "By them," Xavier answered simply, gesturing to the sphere. The debate over next steps lasted hours. Some argued for immediate return to Earth with the alien artifact. Others, including Xavier, pushed for further exploration before the mission's conclusion. In the end, Rover's unprecedented success had earned Xavier the final say. "Return to the tunnel," he instructed Rover, whose oxygen systems had been fully repaired. "Let's see what they want to show us." The journey back was significantly easier with the newly exposed terrain. Rover reached the tunnel entrance in just over an hour, where he found something unexpected: the creature waiting at the threshold, its bioluminescence pulsing in what almost seemed like relief. As Rover approached, the creature led him deeper into the tunnel than before, bypassing the chamber with the crystalline structure and continuing downward. After nearly a kilometer of descent, they emerged into a vast underground cavern that took the breath away from everyone at Mission Control. The chamber extended hundreds of meters in every direction, its ceiling aglow with bioluminescent patterns that mimicked the stars visible from Mars' surface. But most astonishing was what stood at the center, a massive structure resembling an ancient tree, its branches formed from the same crystalline material as the smaller formation they'd seen earlier. "It's a data repository," Dr. Patel whispered as her instruments analyzed the energy patterns. I think it's their history." The creature approached the tree, placed several limbs against its surface, and the entire structure illuminated with cascading patterns of light. The display eventually concentrated into a central projection, a three-dimensional representation of the solar system. In the projection, Mars appeared verdant and blue, with extensive oceans and abundant life. Then, slowly, the image shifted to show catastrophe, a massive asteroid impact, followed by the planet's slow transformation into the red desert world humanity knew today. "They're showing us their past," Xavier realized. "Mars was once like Earth." The projection continued, showing the few survivors retreating underground, adapting to their new reality over countless generations. The once complex civilization became simpler, more elemental, focused solely on preservation rather than expansion. Then the projection showed Earth and the recent human missions to Mars, culminating with Rover's arrival. "They've been watching us," Chloe breathed. "All this time." The final sequence showed Rover returning to Earth with the sphere, followed by humans arriving on Mars not with weapons or mining equipment, but with tools of restoration. The projection concluded with Mars gradually transforming again, not to its former state, but to a new equilibrium where humans and the native species coexisted. "It's an invitation," Xavier said softly. "They're asking for our help." "And offering theirs in return," added Dr. Patel, studying readings from the sphere in the sample containment unit. "This technology, it's beyond anything we've conceived. The energy production alone could solve Earth's climate crisis." The creature approached Rover once more, touching its limb to his paw as it had done during their first meeting. The gesture needed no translation. A bond of trust had been formed. 2 days later, when Rover boarded the return vehicle with the precious sphere secured in a special containment unit, he wasn't just carrying an alien artifact, he was carrying hope for 2 worlds. 1 year later, Xavier Price stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Bradbury Station, watching as the first human-Martian joint mission broke ground on the terraforming project. Rover sat beside him, now retired from active exploration but honored as the ambassador who had changed everything. The creatures, now known as the Lumens, worked alongside human scientists, their bioluminescent communication gradually being decoded into a shared language. The sphere Rover had brought back had revealed technological marvels that had already transformed Earth's energy infrastructure and medical capabilities. "They were waiting for us," Dr. Patel remarked, joining Xavier at the window. "For thousands of years, they watched the skies, hoping someone would come." "Not someone," Xavier corrected, kneeling to scratch behind Rover's ears. "The right one." Below them, the red planet stretched to the horizon, still harsh and unforgiving, but now filled with possibilities. The ancient ruins of the Lumini civilization were being carefully uncovered, revealing art, science, and philosophy that complemented humanity's own journey. Rover wagged his tail as a young Lumini approached the window, its skin glowing with patterns that Rover now recognized as friendship. This one had been born after first contact, part of the first generation to know from birth that they were not alone in the universe. As Xavier watched the creature press its limb to the glass in greeting, he reflected on how a single mission had forever altered the course of two worlds. Against all odds, humanity had found not just evidence of life beyond Earth, but partners in the greatest adventure yet to come. And it had all begun with one brave dog's journey across the stars. In the night sky above, Earth shone as a bright blue star, a reminder of home, but no longer the only world where humanity belonged. The bridge between planets had been built, not by politicians or corporations, but by the timeless bond between a human, a dog, and an alien who reached across the stars to offer friendship. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for exactly this moment.